Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over section 6.1 on our series on dividing decimals. We're going to be taking a look at how to divide decimals by powers of 10. The types of problems that we're going to be covering in this presentation is presented right here, where you have the decimal for 3.1 divided by different powers of 10. Don't forget, we have practice problems at the end of this presentation for you to try out in order to demonstrate mastery of the contents of this presentation. Alrighty, the task is as follows. We are to find the quotient, okay? Find the quotient of the given numbers. So remember that the term quotient is just a fancy word for divide. Alright, so for question 1, 2, and 3, we're going to take a look at division by powers of 10 in different formats. And then in question 4, we're going to see if we can write a general rule for how to divide by powers of 10, how to divide numbers by powers of 10, okay? So let's start with a whole number first, 4200 divided by 1. Alright, so when you're dividing by powers of 10, the number of zeros tells you basically how many places to move the decimal point to the left, okay? So 4200 divided by 1, there are no zeros here, so this is just simply going to be 4200. Remember, 1 is the identity under multiplication and division. Whenever you multiply or divide by 1, there is no change. You end up with what you started with. All right, so there's no move here in any direction. What if we have 4200 divided by 10? Now you have this power of 10 has 1 0 in it. So if you think back to our previous lesson in I think it's section 4, where we talked about it was in section 4.1. When we talked about multiplying by powers of 10, the rule was the number of zeros tells you how many places to move the decimal point to the right. When you multiply by powers of 10, as long as the power is positive, the result is bigger. But when you divide by powers of 10, the result is smaller. Okay, so basically the decimal point will be moving to the left. Dividing, decimal points move to the left. Multiplying, the decimal point moves to the right. Okay? Alright, so here we're going to be dividing by 10. There's 1 0 there. So our decimal point is going to move one place to the left. Our result will be smaller. Alright, so originally the decimal point was right here. So since there's just 1 0, so our decimal point is going to move one place to the left, right there. Bam. Alright, our answer is going to be 420.0. We can just write it as 420, and that's our final answer. Alright, so just remember, dividing by powers of 10, the number gets smaller and the decimal point moves to the left. Alright, let's take a look at another one. 4200. Let's say we have 4200 divided by 100. Now this power of 10 has how many zeros? 2 zeros. Since we're dividing, remember when you're dividing, the number gets smaller, so your decimal point basically moves to the left. Okay, so we're starting with 4200. Decimal point is right here originally. So since we're dividing by 100, it has 2 zeros, and we're dividing is going to go to the left 2 places. 1, 2, right there. Bam. So our final answer is 42.00 or 42. There goes the final answer. All right. Let's take a look at one more example. 4200. Let's say we have 4200 divided by 1000. Okay. Now we're dividing by a power of 10 that has 3 zeros. Our result will definitely be smaller. Since there are 3 zeros, we know that the decimal point is going to be moving to the left 3 places. Okay, so we have 4200. Alright, so the decimal point starts right here, and we're going to move it 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. Because there are 3 zeros, 3 places to the left. And that's basically where our decimal point will be positioned, right behind 4. The answer will be 4.200, or we can just write it as 4.2. Bam. Okay, let's take a look at another example, a decimal now. Number 2. What if we have 175.3 divided by 1? Okay, there are no zeros here, so it's just 1. This is an identity on the division. Whenever you divide or multiply by 1, you will just end up with the same answer. So your answer is just going to be 175.3. In this particular case, we have no moves because there are no zeros for this power of 10. What if we have 175.3 divided by 10? Now we have 1 0. What's the answer going to be? So we're starting with 175.3. Since we're dividing by 10, 10 has just 1 0. Okay, so what does that mean? Our decimal points will move one place to the left. Remember, when you're dividing by powers of 10, the result gets smaller. The decimal point moves to the left. Okay, when you carry out that move, our final result will be smaller than our original. So notice our dividend here was 175.3. After dividing by 10, our result is 117.53. You see how it's smaller? All right, now let's take a look at another example. What if we have 175.3 divided by 100? Now we have 2 zeros. 100 has 2 zeros. We're dividing by a power of 10 with 2 zeros. So what are we going to do? Following exactly the same procedure, there are 2 zeros, so we're going to be moving 2 places to the left. So let's start with our original question, our original dividend, 175.3. So since it has 2 zeros, a decimal point will move to the left 2 places, 1, 2, right there. Bam. Final answer is going to be 1.753. Let's try one more, and then we'll look at powers of 10, okay? 175.3 divided by 1,000, powers of 10 in exponential form. So in this particular case, we're dividing by 1,000. There are 3 zeros we're dividing, so decimal point will be moving to the left. Original dividend, 175.3. We're now going to move the decimal point 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, right there. All right, so our final answer is going to be 0.1753. All right. Okay, let's take a look at an example where our powers of 10 are written in exponential format, and see how we can apply the idea we just used for number 1 and 2, okay? So what if we have 97.2 divided by 10 to the 0th power? Remember, any non-zero power raised to the 0 is just 1, right? So 10 to the 0 is the same thing as 1. Well, let's just leave it in this form. So how does this work? For examples 1 and 2, we just looked at a number of zeros to determine how many times we move the decimal points to the left. For number 3, when the power of 10 is in exponential format, all we'll do is look at the value of the exponent. Bam. So this is 0. What does 0 mean? It means there are no moves. Okay, so our answer would just be 97.2. There are no moves here. It's just similar to what we did in section 4.1. When you're multiplying by 10 to the 0th power, you have no moves there because there are no zeros, okay? All right, so let's take a look at another example. What if we have 97.2 divided by 10 to the first power. Now we have a power, a non-zero power. So what we'll do in this case is look at the value of the power of 10, which is 1. What does that tell us? Since we're dividing, that means we're going to move our decimal point one place to where? The left. Okay, division goes to the left, multiplication to the right. Division smaller, multiplication bigger. Bam. That's where it's going to be. So our final answer is going to be 9.72. Now what if we have, so let's specify just one place to the left. What if we have 97.2 divided by 10 to the second power? Okay, this is equivalent to 100, but it's an exponential format, right? 10 to the second power just tells us that when you expand this, 10 to the second power is going to be 100. There are going to be two zeros. Okay, 10 times 10 is 100. But what does that tell us about the answer? Well, it tells us that when we divide 97.2 by 10 to the second power, or 100, the decimal point will move two places to the left. 1, 2. Decimal point will end up right in front of 9. Result will be 0.972. All right, let's try one more. What if we have 97.2 divided by 10 to the third power? Always look at the power of 10. That tells you how many places to move the decimal point, either to the left or to the right. For division to the left, multiplication to the right. We're dividing here, so our decimal points will be moving to the left. Our result will be smaller. Okay, so decimal points will move. There are 3 zeros, so this one was 2 to the left. This one, there are 3 zeros, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So we have to insert a placeholder here. Bam. So this is 3 places to the left to generate our final result. So our answer for this problem is 0.0972. There you have it. Okay, so what is the rule here? All right, let's take a look at what the rule is now. For question 4, what is the rule here? What's the rule for dividing by powers of 10? The rule is as follows. When dividing by powers of 10 greater than 0, when the power is 0, it doesn't change anything. Okay, so we'll just look at powers of 10 greater than 0. The number gets what? It gets smaller. All right, which is as a result of doing what? Of moving the decimal point where do you move the decimal point when you're dividing? I'm moving the decimal point, the number of zeros, to the number of zeros to the left. That's the pattern. Okay, so the result is always smaller. Okay, and that's as a result of moving the decimal point, the number of zeros of the power of 10, to the left. That's the rule that we applied to question 1, 2, and 3. All right, so keep that in mind, extremely important. Okay, 2 more problems, then actually 3 more problems, and then we're going to give you some practice problems to try out. Let's take a look at question number 5 now. What if you were to find the quotient 1.375 divided by 10 to the second power? Bam. All right, let's look at this one. So let's start with the dividend, 1 0.375. And then we're going to look at the value of the exponent of the power of 10, which is 2. What does that mean? Decimal point will be moved 2 places where? To the left. Division to the left, multiplication to the right. Okay? Since we moved an additional place value in front of 1, we have to put in a placeholder there. So our final answer is going to be 0.01375. That's the answer to number 5. Let's take a look at question number 6. So question number 6, what if we have 52,000 divided by 1,000? What's the answer going to be here? Let's start with our dividend, 52,000, and specify where the original decimal point is, right here. Bam. Now, this power of 10 is in expanded form, so count the number of zeros. There are 3 zeros total. So what does that mean? Since we're dividing, we're going to move that number of places to the left, right? So 1, 2, 3. Bam. That's where the decimal points will be. 3 places to the left, because this power of 10 has 3 zeros in its expanded form. The final answer is going to be 52.000. Since these are all zeros after the decimal point, we don't have to write it. 52 is the final answer. Okay? Alright, let's do a fill in the blank problem, one more, and then we'll give you some practice problems to try out. Number 7, fill in the blank. We're going to work backwards now. Fill in the blank. So this is the question. 153.2, let me write it again. 153.2 is divided by 10 to a certain power, and the result was 0.01532. So what is that power that will result in this quotient upon division? That's the task. Okay, so we're going to be working backwards here. We're going to compare our dividend and the quotient and see how do the decimal point position differ. All right, and then that will help us solve the problem. So originally, if you look at our dividend, the decimal point was after 3. So this was the original spot right here. Bam. And then the quotient was after 0, right? It was 2 places ahead, 2 places to the left of 1. So how many moves will move it from 3 to 2 places ahead of 1? Right? So let's count. So starting from 3, we have to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Voila. There you go. We moved it to the left 4 places. So what power of 10 we have to divide 153.2 by to move the decimal point 4 places to the left? It's 4, right? So let's write down the answer. 153.2 divided by 10 to the 4th power. That's the answer. Divided by 10 to the 4th power will yield 0.01532, a result of moving the decimal point of the original dividend 4 places to the left. Okay? So now it's your turn for some practice problems. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here are the practice problems for you to try out. So go ahead and pause the video presentation at this time and try out these 6 problems. When you're done, click on the playback button and we are going to reveal what the correct answers are. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video this time and attack the 6 problems. Alrighty, welcome back. Hopefully you had a chance to try the 6 practice problems. Go ahead and check your answers. So how well did you do? Let us know how well you did in the comment section below. If you got most of them right, go ahead and destroy that like button. If you have any questions about these practice problems or what we went over in the presentation, just specify it in the comment section and we'll be more than glad to support you. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Don't forget to help support our channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing this content with your friends. Tons of support resources can be found at mathgotserved.com or the links in the description below to check it out. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.